Hello friends, my name is Leigh and I create videos about photography as an art and as a lifestyle. I love using all different types of gear and seeing how it fits into my photography and how it might change my photography. And I love sharing all of that with you. But here's the thing. I found my forever portrait lens for my Nikon Z bodies. Viltrox announced today the 135mm f1.8 lab lens for Nikon Z mount. I have used many Viltrox lenses and I continue to use them all, but this one is special. I've been using it for a couple of weeks on the Nikon Z6 III, and it gives me the look that is so attractive on medium format, but I'm using it on a full frame body. So thank you to Viltrox for sending this lens and for sponsoring this video. I've been using Viltrox lenses for many years and they just keep getting better. They've released really lightweight and convenient lenses like this 40mm f2.5 Air, high-end lenses like this 75mm f1.2 Pro lens for APS-C bodies, and this absolutely top-end 135mm f1.8 lab lens. And of course, everything in between. And they do it for incredibly reasonable prices. For example, Nikon offers the 135mm f1.8S Plena lens for Z mount. It costs more than double this Viltrox lens. Let's check out more photos and talk about the optical characteristics when using this lens. First, the bokeh is beautiful. It is dreamy, smooth. There is a lovely transition between in focus and out of focus. This is what I meant when I said that it provides a medium format-like look. In these photos, I wanted to have things at varying distances from me so that you can really see what I mean. f1.8 at 135mm means a very shallow depth of field, especially when getting close to your subject. In fact, you have to be mindful of it because you can end up with a depth of field that is so shallow that you don't really have anything for the viewer's eye to land on. For example, in the case of this photo, I was at f1.8 and only the tips of the flower stamen are in focus. So I narrowed the aperture to f4 so I could get the whole flower in focus, but still retain the blurriness everywhere else. For portraiture, this is where eye detection autofocus comes in super duper handy. I can also mention here that it is quick and quiet to focus this lens, and that makes this lens great for video as well. Another hallmark of high-end lenses is lack of focus breathing. You can see me here staying in one place, but then Raymond told me that there was a bunny nearby and I left the frame. When the camera decides to focus on the background, the framing doesn't change at all, plus it was silent. And here you can see the camera go from the closest focusing distance where you can't see anything in focus to focusing on me as I run away and then walk back to the camera. Forgive my funky walking here. It was really muddy. I was sliding all over the place. In fact, check out the bottom of Raymond's shoe here. It was a mess, but I loved this area here with the rows of citrus trees and the chokecherry trees, which only had a few blossoms left after the latest storm. Raymond took the camera again for some duck photography. This white duck had quite a lot of personality and hung around bathing and grooming in front of Raymond for quite a while, allowing him to capture photos and video. No matter where your subject is in the frame, this lens is going to be sharp. You can see the water ripples here at the side in alignment with the duck's eye, which was the point of focus. The ripples are all perfectly crisp and there is absolutely no distortion. When you are capturing ducks or people which are moving around and not necessarily posing and staying in one position for you, it is so important to be able to rely on your gear. Being able to trust the optics and the speediness of a lens allows you to follow your subject around, place them wherever you want in the frame or wherever you can get them in the frame, and retain a crisp photo or video. And in the case of a high-end lens like this, you can trust that you won't have any distortion or unexpected artifacts anywhere. Raymond captured some handheld video as well. I was really impressed with the Z6 III's in-body image stabilization here, which kept the movements smooth as Raymond tracked the ducks. I mean, look at the water out of focus behind the duck too. It just looks so nice. Isolating the subject so that the moving water back there doesn't take your attention away from what you, as the photographer or videographer, is intending. I don't always want a shallow depth of field, but of course, you do have apertures narrower than f1.8 on this lens. It's just that the flexibility is super nice to have. And a few last photos of me having a fantastic time hanging out on this rock, watching the waterfowl. I was quite close to the plants that were growing all around me. This is one more example of where a shallow depth of field can be an asset. Those grasses aren't detracting from me as the subject at all because they melt into the out of focus area behind me. It really made me realize that this lens would be really nice for event photography where you have stuff going on all around. You're still able to isolate the subject using the wide f1.8 aperture. Let's look at the lens itself. It is a hefty lens and absolutely worth the wait. It is dust and splash resistant. It focuses as close as 0.72 meters. There are programmable buttons, a focus limiter. You can choose a declickable or clickable second ring. I have the ring set to act as an aperture ring. And there is a window on the lens that shows you information like aperture and your focusing distance. In the Viltrox app, you can update firmware, customize the button functions, and add a startup animation to the screen. So instead of it saying Viltrox, you can add a word or image, which could be fun, but I added a reminder here, the word format. So I remember to format the memory card before moving on with my shoot. And I made it in black font with a white background so it catches my attention. It has an 82 millimeter filter ring, which came in handy when we were capturing video in the field because I did add our neutral density filter. And there is also a USB-C port near the lens mount for firmware updates. I have found that Viltrox is very good about updating their lenses when new camera bodies come out. All in all, this lens does everything I ask, and it does it beautifully. I will absolutely be using this lens in the future, so you will see it again. It has actually made me want to get creative with portraiture again, which is saying something because I used to do a lot of creative self-portraiture, but I've gotten away from it. So if you have any creative ideas, let me know. And I let you know what I think of this lens. Tell me what you think. What lens do you use for portraiture? Does this 135 millimeter interest you for portraits or anything else? I love reading your comments, so get in there and talk to me. I will link to this lens in the description of the video so that you can check it out for yourself. Thank you to Viltrox for supporting this channel, and thank you for watching.